Steve Lansing, you're the director at the Complexity Institute at Nanyang Technological University in Singapore, and you're well known for your work within anthropology and the dynamics of social ecological systems. What is transformation to you?
Transformation to me is the reason that I'm at a Complexity Institute. I think it's the most important thing that's happened during my career in science. And I think it has to do with the discovery that nonlinear reactions are ubiquitous in the world. And that came about partly because of computers, because before we had computers we couldn't calculate nonlinear interactions. So the problem was, as Fermi, the physicist, said, it doesn't say in the Bible that all interactions are linear. So how can we understand them? So part of that was computers to give us the horsepower to do it. And part of it was complexity, because it became possible to read things, to understand nonlinear interactions. And there are lots of reasons why we should be looking for nonlinear interactions, because that's usually how the world works. But the key point, I think, for social sciences and for the Resilience Center is, if you don't pay attention to nonlinearities, if you have a linear model and you happen to be trying to describe something that has some nonlinear aspects to it, that will look like noise. So we fool ourselves all the time, because we think we understand things, but actually there are embedded nonlinearities which we don't recognize. So I think the recognition of that is transformed ecology, and it's beginning to have an impact in the social sciences. And in my view, we need to get smart fast. I mean, we are now messing with the planet in all kinds of ways, and we really need to get smart fast to understand how nonlinear interactions occur. So I think transformations, in the sense I'm talking about, nonlinear interactions, are pretty crucial.
And how does transformation relate to your research?
I'm about to give a talk about nonlinear interactions in Bali. And so without summarizing that talk, what we discovered is that there is a phenomenon that leads to an adaptive process that I hadn't understood. And I've been studying the island of Bali and the rice cultures of Bali for maybe 30 years now, but I didn't understand it. But I looked at continuous phase transitions in physics and found a way, wrote some code, tried to figure it out, could we see whether that's happening? And the answer is, yes, indeed it is. So it's had a tremendous impact on me. I mean, it's showing me things that otherwise I would not have seen. And even now, I mean, after all these years studying a place very intensively, I'm still learning things based on the fundamental principles of nonlinear interactions. And I can't believe I'm the only one. I mean, I think that's probably going to be common. The more we look, the more I think we'll find.
And we often talk about the positive aspects of transformation. But as you see it, what are the negative sides of transformation?
All right, well, I work in Southeast Asia, as well as the Complexity Institute. I'm part of the Earth Observatory of Singapore. Lots of people doing research in Southeast Asia, which is the center of terrestrial and marine biodiversity on the planet. And I see mistakes happening all the time by people who are well-intentioned, who want to do some good, right, but whose toolbox is limited, and they come to do things like capacity building. They're going to do capacity building. But what that actually turns out to mean is telling the people in Southeast Asia how they should understand what they're trying to do. And that has led to some colossal mistakes, starting with the Green Revolution. So to me, the negative aspects are we need not only to be more attentive to how the world works, we need to be a little more humble about what we can bring to it. I mean, I go to learn. I'm not in the business of trying to give advice to the Balinese about how to manage their affairs. I go to learn from them. And I recommend that as a way of approaching one's studies.